5 of us went into the forest that weekend. Only one came back. The police say it was a stranger, someone hiding in the trees, someone who vanished before dawn. That version is easier to swallow. I let them believe it. I nodded when they asked if I remembered anything unusual, anything suspicious. The truth was already rotting inside me, and I didn't yet have a name for it. Here is the disturbing fact no report mentions. I don't remember every part of my life. There are hours, sometimes entire nights, that go missing, as if they were cut out and discarded. I only know they existed because of what they left behind. Bruises I can't explain, dirt under my nails, files on my phone I don't remember recording. Before the forest, before the bodies, before I learned what I'm capable of. This is what happened before I understood who I really was. We'd planned the trip for months. That alone should have warned me. Nothing in my life ever stays stable that long without cracking. There were 5 of us. Friends, technically. Close enough to share drinks and secrets. Distant enough to never notice the gaps in my memory. Ryan was the loud one. 28. Always too hard. Always the first to start a fire and the last to put it out. Maya balanced him. Quiet, sharp-eyed. The kind of person who noticed things but didn't always say them out loud. Then there was Lucas, practical to the point of irritation, and Ben, who filmed everything as if life might disappear if he didn't record it. And then there was me. I told them the camping trip was about clearing my head. Fresh air, silence, no screens. That part wasn't a lie. I just didn't tell them how badly my head needed clearing. The campsite was deeper than I expected. Trees packed tight, blocking out the sky. The dirt road narrowing until it felt like the forest was closing behind us. No cell service. Lucas complained. Ryan laughed it off. Relax, he said. What's the worst that could happen? The fire crackled as night fell. Beer bottles clinked. Stories spilled out. College memories, half-remembered arguments, jokes that weren't that funny but felt warm in the dark. I remember staring into the flames longer than I should have, feeling the hours blur. At some point, Maya asked if I was okay. Yeah, I said automatically. I didn't mention the strange exhaustion creeping over me, or the brief moments when the voices around me seemed to fade, like someone slowly turning down the volume. That night when I lay in my tent, I remember closing my eyes. I don't remember falling asleep. Something woke me in the middle of the night. At first, I thought it was a dream, one of those half-formed sounds that doesn't fully exist. Then it came again. A scream. Sharp, broken, real. Ryan was already outside his tent when I unzipped mine, his face pale in the firelight we'd forgotten to put out. Lucas followed, gripping a flashlight like a weapon. Maya stood frozen, listening. Ben wasn't there. Ben? Ryan called out. No answer. We followed the sound toward the trees, the flashlight beam shaking as it cut through branches and shadows. The forest felt different at night, closer, heavier, like it was leaning in to listen. We found him less than 50 feet from the camp. Ben was on the ground, twisted at an angle that didn't make sense, his eyes open and staring past us. His camera lay nearby, still blinking red, still recording nothing. No blood, no signs of struggle, just stillness. Maya started crying. Lucas swore under his breath. Ryan kept saying Ben's name over and over, like repetition might undo it. I stood there, unable to move. Panic doesn't explode all at once. It leaks. At first, we stayed close to the fire, as if the light could explain what we'd seen. Lucas kept insisting we should leave at first light. Maya wrapped her arms around herself, rocking slightly, eyes fixed on the tree line. Ryan paced. Theories, animals, accidents, anything that didn't involve intent. No one said the word murder, but it hung there anyway. Ben's body stayed where it was. None of us could bring ourselves to move him. The forest was too quiet, the kind of silence that presses against your ears until you're sure it's listening back. When dawn came, it didn't bring relief. The light only showed us how alone we were. Lucas tried his phone again. Still nothing. "We stick together," he said. "No one wanders off, not even to pee." We agreed. We always do, right before we don't. It happened sometime after noon. Ryan volunteered to grab supplies from the car, less than a minute away, he said. I watched him disappear between the trees. I counted my breaths while he was gone. When the count got too high, I followed. I found him near the edge of the clearing, lying on his back, eyes wide like Ben's. His mouth was open, frozen mid-word. His hands were clenched, dirt packed under his fingernails. I don't remember screaming. What I remember is Lucas pulling me back, Maya sobbing behind us, and the terrible thought settling in my chest. Whatever was doing this didn't need the dark, and it didn't need distance. It was already close. After Ryan, the forest stopped pretending. There were only 3 of us left, Lucas, Maya, and me. And whatever fragile trust we had cracked under the weight of his body cooling in the dirt. Lucas dragged Ryan back toward the camp, breathing hard, glancing over his shoulder every few seconds, as if expecting something to follow. Maya couldn't stop shaking. Neither could I, though I didn't know why my hands felt heavier than fear alone could explain. We stayed together. That was the rule now. No exceptions. The sun moved slowly, dragging shadows across the ground. Every sound felt amplified. The snap of a twig, the rush of wind through leaves, the distant cry of something I didn't want to name. We barely spoke. When we did, our voices came out wrong, like we were afraid of being overheard. Lucas kept watching me. I noticed it when Maya wasn't looking, the way his eyes lingered, the way his questions circled instead of landing. "Did you hear anything last night?" he asked. "No," I said. It was true, I think. You didn't leave your tent. I shook my head. My throat felt tight. Why would I? He didn't answer that. By late afternoon, exhaustion pressed down on me like a physical weight. My head throbbed, the edges of my vision blurred. I remember sitting on a fallen log, closing my eyes just for a second. When I opened them again, the light had changed. The sky was darker, the air colder. "Maya?" I called. No answer. Lucas stood a few feet away, staring at me. His face looked wrong, pale, stretched thin with fear. "Where did she go?" I asked. He swallowed. "You don't remember, do you?" That was when I looked down and saw the dark stains on my hands, and realized there were hours missing. Again. Lucas wouldn't let me get close. He backed away as I stood, his hands raised, not to calm me, but to protect himself. I noticed then how his eyes kept flicking to my hands, still streaked with dried, dark smears I didn't remember earning. "Where's Maya?" I asked again, slower this time. "You were with her," he said. His voice cracked on the last word. "You told her to come with you." "That's not true," I said immediately. The denial came too fast, too practiced. Lucas shook his head. "You don't even hear yourself anymore." The sun slipped lower, bleeding orange through the trees. The forest felt tighter than ever, like the air itself was running out. Lucas kept backing away, step by step, until his heel caught on a root and he stumbled. "Stay away from me," he said. "Please." I froze. I wanted to tell him I was scared too, that I didn't understand what was happening inside my head, that there were parts of my life I couldn't touch, no matter how hard I tried. But something in his face told me it wouldn't matter. Lucas ran. I chased him without deciding to. Branches tore at my arms as we crashed through the trees. He was faster at first, fueled by panic. But fear makes sloppy choices. He slipped near the ravine, scrambling for balance, eyes wide as he turned back toward me. "Stop!" he screamed. "Just stop!" The next moment is broken, fragmented, like a tape that's been chewed up and spit back out. I remember standing at the edge of the ravine. I remember silence. And then I remember being alone. Lucas was gone. I stayed there until night fell, staring down into the dark, waiting for something, anything to come back to me. Nothing did. By morning, the forest held only one living person, and I still didn't know why. The police dropped me off at my apartment 2 days later. They asked their questions in calm voices, wrote things down, nodded too often. I told them everything I remembered, which wasn't much. They filled in the rest themselves. A wild animal, a stranger, someone who panicked and ran. They needed a shape for the horror, and I was happy to give it one that wasn't me. It wasn't until that night, alone, finally quiet, that I found the folder. It sat on my laptop like it had always been there. No password, no warning, just a date stamp from the night Ben died. My hands shook as I clicked the first file. The screen lit up with the forest, the fire, the same clearing where we'd laughed hours before. Then my face filled the frame, too calm, eyes steady, voice level. "If you're watching this," I said, "it means you don't remember. That's expected." I couldn't breathe. The next recordings were worse. Different angles, different nights. My voice explaining things carefully, clinically, talking about threats, about control, about how memory was a weakness that needed managing. I watched myself stand behind Ben. I watched myself follow Ryan. I watched myself lead Maya away from the camp. I stopped the video before Lucas appeared. The last recording was short, just my face again, closer this time. "You'll try to deny it," I said softly. "That's fine. The proof will still be here." The file ended, but the folder didn't. There were empty slots beneath it, placeholders, waiting for new dates. I closed the laptop and sat in the dark, listening to my own breathing, terrified of the moment I wouldn't remember doing that either. I haven't slept properly since I watched the last recording. Every time I close my eyes, I'm afraid of what I'll wake up to, afraid of what I might have done while I wasn't there. I've tried staying awake. Coffee, cold showers, sitting on the edge of my bed until my legs go numb. None of it works for long. Eventually, my body shuts down whether I want it to or not. That's the worst part. Not the killings, not the tapes, not even the fact that I lived while they didn't. It's knowing that somewhere inside my head, there's a version of me that never sleeps. I went back to the folder once more before I unplugged the laptop. I didn't open anything new. I didn't need to. I already knew what I'd find. Calm explanations, careful planning, a voice that sounded like mine, but steadier, stronger, certain. That version of me believes this is mercy. I've locked my doors. I've hidden anything sharp. I've started writing notes to myself, leaving them on mirrors and walls. If you're reading this, don't leave the apartment. If you're reading this, check the date. If you're reading this, you've lost time again. Sometimes the notes are gone when I wake up. Sometimes there are new ones. The police still think the killer vanished into the woods. They tell me I was lucky. They say survival stories are complicated. Trauma does strange things to memory. They're right about one thing. Memory is unreliable. That's why I keep the tapes. That's why I don't delete the folder. Because one day, when another date appears, when another recording waits for me, I want to remember this feeling, the fear, the clarity, the knowledge. So when I watch myself again, I'll know exactly who I'm looking at. And I'll understand why he never let me remember. Thanks for sipping tonight's tale with Haunted Brew. Don't forget to subscribe and sleep tight if you still can.